So, I have been doing video for a little bit now as part of Charge Blog, and I've been really interested in how it's done. But I've definitely seen that one of the problems I have with video making is that I spend too long on it and it doesn't come naturally to me. So I'm still trying to improve on that. But the whole point of me moving to video was, or adding video to my repertoire, was that I want to be able to kind of reach more people and show off more stuff. And 2,000 words of blog post is maybe a little bit too much. So for this reason, I'm going to try around with some little shorter form, I should say, video content, but doesn't require quite so much editing. I'm going to do the classic vlog style. Been watching a lot of a guy called Sorcerer Dave, who does a really good set of hobby stuff, really in depth, and does a lot of the narrative side, which is something that appeals to me. So I'm going to do something similar with what he does, which is he assembles sort of small vlogs into one long vlog and then publishes that. I'm going to do mine every 2 weeks. I think I do enough stuff that should be a reasonable tempo to keep up, he says, before not doing it, but we'll see. I'm going to start off because today is the 7th of October 2022, and I am looking at these. So these are the Living Dead from Fireforge, particularly their Peasants range. I bought back in 2019 because they sold off a set, and North Star were like, "Hey, we've damaged the boxes, so if you don't mind the damaged box, come get these for cheaper." A friend of mine and I went in on that. They painted theirs up pretty quickly. I put mine into the cupboard and they disappeared into a hole. But with it being spooky season and with me having these, which I've been sat waiting for, I think 6 months or so. They've been, yeah. I painted the Curse City zombies up and it was like, actually, Curse City zombies and skeletons. Like, actually, I quite like that style. Especially, I prefer the zombies because there's much less of the zombies. There was a couple of these sort of buried with a stake for them, but I really like sort of the more classic zombies and all the horrible stuff going on with them. The skeletons are also kind of one of those sets you really need to in your collection to be useful. But before I went to do them, I thought I'm going to get these guys done. However, there's a problem, as you can see. These are on Renada style 25mm bases, which was my original intention to do all my fancy stuff on the. So, in my database of stuff, it has like MDF bases with the moderns, GW bases with the GW stuff, and then Renada style bases. Like this was for fantasy, and then there was the lipped warlord bases for World War II. But there's too many bases to deal with, so I've decided that fantasy, because I've been buying more Games Workshop figures than I thought I would do, which is incredibly funny to me. Decided to go with Games Workshop bases is going to be the style going forward. This did require me to rebase all of my Frostgrave stuff. So the metal figures, really easy. You sort of grab them and twist, pull them off the base, you're good to go. Did that earlier this year, quite a few guys. The plastics were more annoying, as you can see. These have been undercoated. The problem with these is, if you look closely, they've got a integrated pill base the feet are on, and I don't want to chop them off, mostly because these figures are quite a little bit smaller than Games Workshop style. So if I was to do that, then they'd really be smaller. What I decided to do is, rather than trying to trim all that base off, because basically the top of the base is glued to the bottom of the pill base, and unless I start shading it down, which I can't be bothered, frankly. Let's not joke around, like, it's a lot of work to do for not a huge amount of game. I decided to sort of use that extra material and sort of boost them up. So what I'll do is I will then obviously cover them with my static grass mix, and that should then cover up any oddities from being slightly taller, and then that means that when you look at them from a distance, they fit quite nicely alongside against virtual figures. However, we need to deal with these guys. So these guys are slightly different, and they don't have the integral base, but they are now glued directly to the material, or to the Renada base. So I need to be a bit careful when I remove them. As you can see with my first one, it's a chunk of material that I might be able to trim down a bit more without damaging the foot. I think I'm going to probably end up leaving them like that, but we'll see how it goes. I shall trim down, I shall take a look. But that's the plan. So that's going to be tonight's fun job. I have been playing around some of the stuff. Like, if I quickly just go up here, there's been, oh, look, a tiny building and tiny tanks. Oh, that's weird. And I've also got other things stacked up and good to go. But I think tonight, a little bit of hobby, I'm going to rebase these, maybe get them undercoated, and then maybe start looking at painting them. Tomorrow, I am off up to Darlington for a fun day of war games. We're going to play some Napoleonics, which will be both fun day of gaming, but also picking up some stuff I've purchased from the host, an FDM printer, which I'm quite excited about. So that'll probably be the next of these little blogs. But I also have a Games Workshop special figure, which I would not be able to get apart from this guy. So I'm really excited to get that. I think she might end up taking part in sort of the spooky game I'm planning at the end of the month with all these zombies and stuff. But we'll see. Yeah, I think that's it for now. So see you in the next blog. So it's currently 1 o'clock in the morning on the 9th of October 2022, and I just got back earlier on from gigantic Napoleonic games we played up with my creative regular opponent, and while I was up there, I picked up a few things. Yes, this is the model I was talking about. This is one I really like. I'm a big fan of the whole Slaves to Darkness stuff for Chaos, and I think this Chaos Sorceress is so good. The problem was I don't like anything about Warhammer other than like world setting and the figures. Like the game just does not appeal. So paying the price for Warhammer Plus subscription, it's one of the things that you pay for it and then like you wouldn't actually get much out of it. However, the creative regular opponent decided he wanted to sell this to me. So I've paid for it. I'm looking forward to painting them up. It's going to be, I really like just look at these guys, like the Doot and the Stew Pot. You know, we've got the little familiars, and then her model's so good with the combination of like, you know, the clothing. You can sort of see an element of like former grandeur effectively, and then with all sort of horrifying mutations on the arm and things like that. I think she'll be really fun to paint up. So I'm thinking she might end up being in like a game I run later this month for the spooky season, but we'll see. However, this isn't the only thing that's turned up, because the big thing I picked up was something else while I was up talking to my friend. Yes. Here it is. So this is an Ender 5 Pro FDM 3D printer. So this is actually it's basically designed for printing using plastic filament rather than resin, which I've used before. In fact, there's the resin printers. That's the filament working away. It's just running a Benchy now. I'm going to see how well it does. There's some gaps which appear, which is a bit strange. I'm not 100% sure where they've appeared from. I'm going to take another look. Might just be some weird stuff with the base adhesion or something. It's impressive how unpolished this device is compared to the resin 3D printers I have. So this definitely feels a lot like hands-on playing with some hobby stuff. So I'll come back tomorrow and hopefully I'll have a nice, cool little Benchy. Also, it's a stressing number of new sounds I have to get used to where things just breaking around me. So we'll see. So it is now later in the day on October 9th, 2022, and as you can see, that is a fully printed Benchy. It's not perfect. There's some strange striation marks on one of the layers, but that's pretty cool. This is not the one that was printing on the last clip. The one that was printing on the last clip had to be cancelled and restarted several times. Here is the remnants of it, including where the filament changed over from what the previous owner had been using to mine. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I was referencing, you can obviously see like the marks, but you know, it's become a solid layer. There's less of a wispy filament around. I've actually got another test planned, which I'm going to do next. And then I think after that, it'll be time for some buildings. can also see through there. So that box is my filament storage container, should basically be heated up, it needs to, and so to arrange it next to the extruder. So yeah, that should be a good setup. So I shall return when I've done my next little test. Okay, so it's the evening of October 10th, and I have been playing with 3D printer, and you can see there's some of my, these are the leveling sheets. So I've had some problems. Not everything works away. So first of all, these are my brand new nozzles, which has basically a blocked up nozzle which was causing some issue with releasing the filament, which they turned up, and there's the old nozzle, well and truly gunked up. So replace that. Problem was, I was doing my leveling, and unfortunately I've gouged a fucking huge hole in this mat. Luckily it's a magnetic mat, so I can just simply peel it off and replace, and the hole underneath won't matter too much. Bigger problem, this bed I think is suffering from a lack of adhesion. There's basically this surface, it's, as my friend said when he sold it to me, it sold it for cheaper than expected. It's had a bit of a hard life, so I've since got more of this ordered to replace, and I tried to print some bases, as you can see, and they've decided that they actually want to be part of the nozzle. They did. In fact, you can see, so I started printing onset it by accident, still on the supports. So I'm kind of tempted to try this again with a full raft, because I think I might be able to pop them out, but I don't know. I'm not sure it's worth it. I think I might just wait until tomorrow. So yeah, so I'm going to just heat this up and then yank this off. It's coming very partial now. Yeah, I'm not like disheartened too much. I think that filament 3D printing is going to be a bit of a dick. So it's just first step. Got to get through this. Once I've got it nailed down, lots of projects I want to do. At the same time though, I printed these off on Friday. So these are 6mm, these are chieftains. And in fact actually they're custom chieftains because they have a peak turret. These are from the Bob Mac kit, Bob Mac Kickstarter. I actually quite like the tanks in there, and I've managed to print them at a really, really small scale. So if I'm doing some 6mm gaming, which Lazy Forge's terrain models makes you want to do, I should be able to play around with these and get them on the board. So hopefully do some more about stuff like that later on and see what happens for it. Also, if you want to see, yeah, I did print some benches, and as you can see, that kind of this one was really cool because it actually had the moment when my print changed from the old filament into what my stuff I got. So you got a nice cool effect, which makes some possible interesting stuff, maybe with a dual filament setup. But for the moment, let's get the basic thing working before I start playing around too much. It is the morning of the 11th of October 2022. Little update. This is my one of my Frostgrave figures. I finally painted. May have been painting him last night while watching a certain dragon-themed fantasy show. So yeah, so he's gone for sort of a slightly more military look than I'm probably playing for a lot of the guys. This one was a figure I really enjoyed making at the very first batch. So he looks like a tunnel fighter or some veteran. So he should be pretty good to have as a recruit alongside or in from Inspire Swords or Frostgrave or whatever. I did notice with the basing, as you can see, he's a little on the small side compared to even this Fireforge zombie. But I think that's partially the pose, but also he'll be fine. Honestly, at a reasonable distance, it won't matter. So yeah. After my hobby update, I've actually got a few more figures are broken out. I will say something I quite like with this this new undercoating. So the black base coat and then the white sprayed directly down from the top is it definitely helps to see what is what on the model slightly more easily than I have done in the past on some figures. So I will definitely continue to use it. Not going to go full grey just yet. I think having the differences definitely helps. So let's go take a quick look at the 3D printer. Okay, so another 3D printing update time. As you can see, still not perfect. However, if we look at the model, I think it's safe to say at this point The nozzle's actually fine. The issue was it came loose from this baseboard. So I think my problem now is this adhesion on this is no longer good enough. Luckily, I've got anything arriving, and I've also got some Pritt stick arriving. So I think I will try one more print with a Pritt stick. And if that doesn't work, then I will just take this mat off and go for an entirely different design. God, I thought resin printing was bad. This is not finicky. I think it's just because there's so many different variables involved. When you've got resin printers, you've kind of got the movement of device plus resin temperatures plus ambient temperatures. With this, there is, yeah, we'll see. There's just a lot of stuff going on. What is cool is seeing this stuff come back up and feeling that that's all smooth as opposed to having the big crack in it that we wanted. So I think I'm getting there. So hopefully, when a new parts arrive today, I can then carry on and do the next step. Okay, so evening of the 11th of October 2022. So this guy painted up last night, as mentioned earlier on, but we also got these. So these are the 6mm tanks I've been printing. Trimmed them off, painted them up, really easy to paint. Black spray paint, tan spray paint, a quick wash over the top, and then a few little details just to make them stand out. Like here, got a red optics or red covers over the optics sort of thing. That was real easy step to do. The bases are actually from the FDM printer because if I very quickly swap the camera angle, I've got the FDM printer up and running now. This has just finished off the bases. So I did some 25. So I did some epic size 1mm deep bases, which were used for 6mm stuff. So one base for a vehicle or two, or squad infantry. This is my other proof of concept, which is basically saying like, can I do regular bases on the FDM printer? Now it's not perfect. There's still some issues. I think there's some issues with the flow, effectively, of the filament. I think I need to check this piece of material, or this device here. But it's cool to see this stuff happening. I think I can definitely, once I get these sorted out, this could definitely be a case of some quick and easy bases just in case I need to get some printed and can't bother buying any. So, all good progress. So, it is the evening of the check and watch. October the 12th. I spent the day actually in the office for a change, so I haven't been home to keep an eye on this. But what has happened is my 3D printer is confirmed to be working. I printed some stuff yesterday and left this on overnight. I came in this morning, it was still going. And yeah, kind of impressed with how he's looked. But not perfect. You can see there's there's definitely a texture in the walls. And obviously, if I have a clean up to do with this spidering, I think there's some retraction speed needs to be played around. So it's still kind of like as a first test. These were quite good for playing around. I need to do a bit of a tidy up because of all this mess. But they're looking pretty good. For contrast, I do have some of the resin Medina buildings I printed, which are obviously very nice. Much more detail on them, and peel it away. Yeah, much more detail and much less issues around it. But when you're playing this in 6mm, I think these will do wonderfully. And that took a fraction of a time. Which, it took some more times, but it much cheaper. So I think for nicer buildings, I'll still go with the resin prints. But I think for bulking up large areas, I think I'll print another set of these, which should be rather good. Okay, so it's the afternoon of October 13th. Yeah, you're gonna get bored of this camera angle. So another set of print ran overnight. I've actually pulled these off and separated them. See, I put a rim on these guys. So I noticed with my other set, there's a really bad warp on the corners, even on all the pieces, because I don't have a brim. So I added the brim to this one, A bit more work afterwards. Downside, that's a bit much. There's still a warp on this. It actually pulled the bed itself up. So I think I've gone from it being not grippy enough to being too grippy. However, I think the quality of the rest is really good. I'm really happy with these 6mm buildings. So I'm definitely going to try and prep these a bit, put them on the bases, and get them ready for gaming. Clear all the spider webs, all the filament webs away. What I think I will do though, I'm going to do one more print of 6mm. I think I'm going to put basically stop printing wildly and try and do a bit more tweaks to get it running 100%. But my last 6mm, I think I'm going to try out a set. I'm kind of interested to see how big it can go. I haven't yet reached the stage where I'm doing 28mm buildings, but so this is kind of the next step along. So I shall show that later on. So it's the evening of the 14th, well, it's the early morning of the 14th of October, which I think will be the last video update for this vlog. Whatever, work in progress thing. Had a day looking at some stuff, had to do some tidying up, so I didn't do as much hobby as I wanted to do, but I did managed to get on with painting this guy. So this is something I've had to make for a while, or had planned for a while. Got out of the Frostgrave kits from North Star, and I really wanted to make sort of I think it's a crewman kit, the base, but I was kind of making a set of figures which were very much kind of local peasantry. So it's kind of, he's definitely a local farmer who's gone out to inspect his fields and found they're infested with the undead. So I think he should be quite funny. It's kind of giving me the idea for what my Halloween game's going to be. I've decided I might do I was thinking kind of like a hero surrounding a village that's overrun by the undead, but I'm kind of thinking I might go a little simpler. One, to make it easier for me, but two, something to run because there'll be less enemies on the board, sort of thing. So I think what I'm going to do is, along with the tunnel fight I did earlier in the week, I'm going to actually do these four. Sort of different classes of people, all kind of with, they've got 3 of them with lanterns, and basically the mission will kind of be, you are the village and you've gone to investigate what's going on, and oh no, it's something spooky, which may be zombies, but I do have some of those boys over there, which might be quite fun to do. So yeah, so we've got a regular archer, we've got a kind of a great sword who looks very much like the tired veteran. We've got a city watch guy over there who goes there, look to him, and we've got this female figure with the winter coat, but also with the fancy lantern, who I think will be probably some kind of mage. Will be quite interesting to have her set up and taking part in things. So there's also a few other updates. As I mentioned earlier on, I've got one final big project for my 6mm printing before I take a little bit of break and kind of get the machine properly set up. You can see in the centre that is a 6mm mosque, but I'm really excited to see how well it comes out. I've also printed out some more of the Afghan compounds, but I've also gone for some of the northwestern Europe buildings. My intention is to have them sort of like round like some sort of oil refinery, sort of local housing for workers not from a local area. So that should be interesting, as you can see. This week's been very busy because of the new printer, but I'm kind of enjoying doing these vlogs. So I think I will do some more, just so I can keep things up to date, while also doing the main vlogs as well. So that's all for now. I will see you probably next week in the next hobby video. Well, that was my hobby week. I think I'll be doing one next week as well. I'm definitely getting enough done at the moment that it makes sense to sort of carry on the process, and you all know how much YouTube likes having consistent uploads. One reason why I haven't focused on YouTube so much was funding is because I actually get my Patreon supporters, and thanks to them, I'm able to do all the hobby I want to do rather than being forced to obey the algorithm. So thank you very much to them. I'll see you all next week.